Hi, Satnam, and happy Boxing Day, everyone. I'm just following an impulse to do a little Facebook Live broadcast, and today's message is about, or I've called it anyway, meeting in the heart. And this has been prompted by a couple of things that have just come my way in the last few days, I suppose. And as my way is, experiences happen, and then something bubbles up inside me that I feel, oh yeah, I have this insight that I want to share. So this one's come about through a couple of things. I think the first part of it was I was invited to a really beautiful, fun, and delicious meal with friends who are vegan, and I had a wonderful time. And I also noticed that I felt that there was some judgment and quite extreme polarized viewpoint being held by some of the people there who identify very strongly as vegan. And that kind of got me thinking about how that sits together with the notion of being spiritual and heart-centered. And then the other thing that prompted this was I'm reading and almost finished this amazing book. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Insights to Intimacy by Christian Pankhurst. And he's created this amazing system called Heart IQ, which is all about how to create real, truthful, authentic intimacy in relationships and have a truly empowered, effective life, a happy life, a healed life, and to feel whole. So I'm reading this book, Insights to Intimacy, which is the Heart IQ method for having successful relationships. And then finally, I was listening to the radio, and actually it was a religious program, I think, on Radio 4, where somebody who lives in Jerusalem, in Israel, and is Palestinian was mentioned. And in conjunction with discussion of the political situation in Northern Ireland and how parts of the society there are really divided along religious lines, either Catholic or Protestant, and how, I can't remember which way round it is, but one side tends to identify more with the Palestinian side of Israel, and one side tends to identify more with the Jewish or Christian side. Okay, so in my background, I actually was once a student of peace research as part of my PhD in social anthropology. So there was a time when I was doing a lot of research around this topic and actively working in conflict zones and attending trainings with people from all around the world who had come from different conflict zones. And I really saw really clearly there how people were identified with a particular viewpoint based on where they lived and based on a history of having a particular viewpoint, and how that so often blinkered them to seeing the person in front of them and to having any kind of constructive dialogue. But what I also saw and witnessed and experienced was that as soon as those people were able to meet simply as two human beings, there was a connection that was forged that allowed a dialogue to begin. And so this is where all of this comes from, this notion of meeting in the heart. And I was thinking how useful it might be to reflect on this at the moment, because so many of us are going to spend time with our loved ones and our families, where often there can be conflict, where often we can regress to childhood roles, where often all of our stuff comes up. We can be these most amazing, evolved, awakened, spiritual people, and then we go and spend time with our family or with friends, and suddenly we get triggered and all hell breaks loose. So it just occurred to me that when we're meeting people in the place of the mind, or from the place of the mind, there is then the potential for a lot of upset and disagreement and conflict, because from the mind's place we will be having thoughts and beliefs, we will be holding on to viewpoints, ideologies, and we may be judging others as being right or wrong. That's what the mind will be doing. We'll be acting according to beliefs that we think are the truth, but they're actually just beliefs. And of course, everybody has a different viewpoint, everybody has a different perspective, and many people have different beliefs. If we then think about, coming from the opposite of the mind, so if we move down the body in the chakra system and think about coming from our instincts, from our emotions, from our desire, from our base consciousness, really, that can create just as many problems too. If we have an emotional reaction to something, or if we get an instinct to act, and that is felt or acted upon without any kind of check or balance, that can create all kinds of difficulties too, right? But if we are in our hearts, and what does that mean? What does it mean to be in your heart? If you are breathing fully and deeply, if you are relaxed, if you are feeling the love and the warmth that is present always in your heart center. So this isn't about sentimental attraction. It isn't about conditional love. It's about a far deeper seated sense of unconditional, infinite love, peace, bliss, and ecstasy that actually resides in our heart center all the time, but often we're cut off from it. If we're connected to that place within ourselves, and we connect with another human being from that place, we will automatically meet with respect. We will automatically meet with a capacity to hear, to understand, and to find a place where meeting is possible. The other might not be in that place, but if we are vibrating from that place, it will be easier for them to be entrained to meet us in that place. And if two people are meeting there, they can hold completely divergent opinions. They can be feeling difficult emotions, and yet they can still connect in great aliveness and intimacy and truth, which is very exciting and very beautiful. And that's the power of meeting in the heart. There's this quote by Rumi that I just wanted to read. I'm sure many of you will know this quote. It says, I have to put my glasses on for this one. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. And that's a quote from Rumi, famous Sufi poet. But the main point of that is, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Now, to me, that talks about meeting in the heart, the field being the place of the heart. And why is this important? Well, first thing is, we are moving into an age of the heart. Everyone's talking about it. It's not just talk, though. It's a reality. Consciousness is waking up. The planet is waking up. We are waking up. And we are all being called to live from heart IQ, heart consciousness, heart awareness, to live from our heart. So this is the invitation that is, it's out there right now to all of us to step into that place of the heart. And secondly, the world will change when we don't wait for someone else to do it first. We step there. We take that step. We embrace that, and we do our best. Of course, it's probably not going to be possible to always be there, but we have that intention, and we learn the tools and we learn the techniques of self-mastery and self-awareness that make that possible. Because if we're coming into that with the intention, but a bit clueless, yeah, it takes some skill to live in the heart and to be in the heart. It takes self-awareness. It takes self-discipline and self-mastery. It takes the willingness to be vulnerable. It takes the willingness to feel. It takes the willingness to see and to be seen. But just imagine if our politicians met in the heart. Just imagine if Donald Trump connected with his heart and then spoke and acted from that place. Just imagine if when you meet your father or your mother today or tomorrow, or your brother or your sister, or someone who really triggers you and winds you up, instead of going into making them wrong or reacting as you often might do, speak for myself too, you just drop your mind into the heart, surrender the mind into the heart, and or elevate your instinct into the heart. And just breathe into that place, and then see how different the quality of the meeting is. It doesn't mean that you will necessarily become a weak pushover. So that's not what this is about. We can be incredibly strong and incredibly empowered when we are also in our compassionate hearts. So we may even feel anger and be in our hearts. That is possible. But the addition of the heart to the anger will ensure that we don't react in a destructive way, that we speak from a responsive, constructive place. That is very different. So it's not about being right or wrong. Imagine if your dialogues and your connections with others aren't about thinking, what am I going to say next to answer back to what they've said? It's actually about listening, from the heart, not the mind, to what is being said. Just listening with neutrality. Because the other thing is, in the heart, there's quiet. There isn't a lot of crazy mind talk going on about, oh, that's wrong, she's wrong, that's right. Oh, yes, I have had an experience like that. Actually, the mind isn't chattering away, because if we're centered in the heart, the mind goes quiet. Surrender the mind to the heart, elevate the instinct to the heart, and that's where everything meets. Above and below, heaven and earth, masculine and feminine, yin and yang, it all meets in the heart. And that's why this is the place that we're moving to at this time on the planet. It's a really key learning for us all, and we're being moved there. And the feminine, especially the divine feminine, is asking that of us, because she is a great model for that and can really lead us there into the heart. I think that's it. I think that's all I want to say. So let's just drop the self-righteousness, drop the judgment, drop the othering, and recognize that the other that you are pointing your finger at, blaming for whatever's going on in the world, is actually you, same as you, a person, a soul with a heart. Listen with your heart, see with your heart, and the world will become a very, very different place. Yeah. Thank you for watching and listening. I'd love to hear your comments. You can write them below and I'll happily respond. And wishing you loads of love and joy and enjoyment and fun and deliciousness and delight for the rest of these holiday times. Satnam, and speak to you again soon.